Sam Darnold. He's one of the highest rated quarterbacks over 3 weeks in the NFL, 4 touchdowns, 2 picks. I mean, the numbers don't jump off the page, but when you hear the name Sam Darnold, what immediately comes to mind? You're like, I don't know. I think we need to accept the fact that he is a good quarterback. I think he's going to pass a lot tonight. I think he can have success. And this is a really short price, so I'm going to be on the Seahawks.
Yeah, I think that's the way I'm leaning. I'm not sure if it makes the official card for me, but let's dive into the total for a second because I think this is a trickier handicap, at least for me. Because you look at both these teams, they've been playing in a lot of low-scoring affairs. And I'll say this about both of their defenses, because I already mentioned the fact that the Seahawks have been very stingy against the run when it comes to yards per carry. But this Cardinals defense deserves some credit for holding Christian McCaffrey to 52 yards on 17 carries. Yeah. And maybe it's just a matter of the Niners' offensive line not being as good anymore because Christian McCaffrey didn't have a great statistical game against the Seahawks as well. But, Jenks, do you have a feeling on this total? I feel like this is one where I don't really have a side.
I would lean to the under, but I don't really like the total at all. Like, I can't I think I know. Here's the thing. If you look at the trends, primetime unders have hit at a 60% clip over the last few years. Primetime unders are generally the way to go. And the Seahawks have not allowed more than, 17 points a game this season. But this is sort of a gut thing. It feels like an overgame to me. It feels like a game where maybe Seattle takes advantage of the Cardinals secondary and the Cardinals have to play from behind, which is going to mean Kyler Murray tossing it around or running the football. But I don't necessarily like to go on just feel. Every now and then I will. Sometimes that's the way to go. You see something or you just have a gut play and you want to go with it. For here, I think it's an under game, but then that sort of goes against how I feel like the game flow is going to go. So I'm probably just going to stay away from this.
Yeah, I can't make a solid case for it. And if I can't make a solid logic-based case on something, It's not going to be a play for me on this show. I do think there are some solid angles when it comes to props, though. When you're looking at somebody who could have a breakout game just simply because of the usage, you got to look at Cardinals running back Trey Benson. Simply because James Conner is no longer a part of the equation. For the run game for the Cardinals, he was carted off the field last game. He's going to be out for the season. So in steps Trey Benson here. And I will say defensively, the matchup is tough. Again, the Seahawks have been very stingy against the run. So maybe the way you play him is either an anytime touchdown, which I believe you can get at plus money, or you play him in the receiving game because he was pretty heavily involved, or at least, for a running back in the past 2 games with targets of 6 and 4. 4 catches for 30 yards in that game against Carolina and 3 catches for only 9 yards, though, against the Niners. But it should be noted that now that James Conner is out of the mix, he should be more heavily involved in this offense. So I do think there is room for growth when it comes to Trey Benson. So again, you can play him over his, to score a touchdown, or I think you play him in the receiving game because statistically speaking, from a fantasy football standpoint, the Seahawks have given up the most receiving yards to opposing running backs of any team in the NFL. But they also did face Christian McCaffrey, who is kind of a curve breaker. So maybe you don't take as much away from that, but I do think those are 2 solid plays.
Yeah, I like that as well. And Benson was a guy they immediately fed last week after James Conner left, and I hated seeing that. Hated seeing him get carted off the field. But he's got some explosiveness, too. I mean, they drafted him out of Florida State because of that. He's averaging 6 yards a carry, and he was getting fed even with James Conner in the lineup. They were making sure to, to ensure that he got his carries. So once they get in the red zone, I think Kyler is going to be a threat. I think Benson is going to be a threat. And again, when you have a guy who's not a big name, you can tend to find some value there. So him at plus money, and he's going to be their primary back, I really like that play a lot.
Yeah, and I love a good target share king, somebody who's going to get a lot of chances. That guy tonight is going to be Jackson Smith-Njigba. If you talk about targets, this guy has been the reigning king, it feels like, of the NFL. 13 targets, 10 targets, 6 targets, which should be noted that was a blowout game against New Orleans, so you didn't really have to throw it nearly as much. Maybe this game is a little closer, but look at his yardage. 124, 103, 96. So when you look at his prop tonight at 79.5, you're like, wow, that's a really high number. But he's gone way over this in all of his games. So I just think that the high-end potential is still there, and he's the long ball guy as well. Longest receptions of 40, 43, and 45 yards. So somebody fully capable of breaking off a huge play at any given moment. Jackson Smith-Njigba still feels like a very trustworthy play for me, even at 79.5.
Oh, I can hear it in your voice. You really like that play a lot. That's going on the card, isn't it?
I think so.
Yeah.
If not that play, it's going to be a part of a same-game parlay where you dumb it down. You're like, okay, JSN, 60-plus receiving yards, and add it to other things. Because, like, he's not going to be shut out, it feels like, of this offense, unless he gets hurt, which we've seen that before when I'm like, oh, CeeDee Lamb, target share king. And then he gets hurt in the first quarter. So, Jenks, hopefully that does not happen here.
Yeah, that was just a bad break. I mean, Lord. You've had a few of those bets that have come up like missing by the hook. I mean, right there. So when we started the show, we were talking about how, that whole Jordan Davis, I don't want to say controversy, but Mike Florio was saying, oh, that's because of the spread. You should have just, this is affecting the game. Jordan Davis should have been aware of the spread, and that's why he ran it back because, he just wanted to make sure the Eagles cover whatever that nonsense was. But the whole point is, look, the numbers are always very sharp in the NFL, which is why you can make a prop bet. And yeah, a couple times it's the hook. It'll get you every single time. I do think I mentioned Sam Darnold. I don't know why I'm such a Sam Darnold stan all of a sudden, but I feel like his passing yardage prop is low. It's 219 and a hook right now. I would go over his touchdown total, which is 1.5. Or I like over his yardage prop just because that Cardinals secondary is so banged up. The Cardinals are very good up front. So Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker III might have some success. They've been very good, but that's the teeth. That's the strength of the Arizona defense is their defensive front. So if Seattle is going to move the ball, they're going to have to throw it, which goes along with your Smith-Njigba pick as well. Like Darnold going over, Smith-Njigba going over, because I think they attack Arizona where they are weakest, and right now they are weakest in the secondary.
Yeah, I just think passing props can just be tricky sometimes. It's not really like, it's one of those things you have to bet it to kind of see it, because a lot of the yardage will come like at the end of the half and at the end of the game if there's like a 2-minute drill and they need to get down the field quickly, because a lot of times, like if the run's working, which again, like you should give some credit to the Cardinals defense for bottling up Christian McCaffrey, and maybe that's going to be the case tonight, but I do think we still see the Seattle rush attack like in some capacity, and a lot of this depends on if it is a close game. If the Seahawks start to run away with this game, I don't see them continuing to rely on Sam Darnold to sling it. So I think I'm going to stick with the receiving prop there. But if we are talking about X factors and quarterbacks, I talked about this when we're talking about our game handicap. Kyler Murray and his legs. We know he is a shifty runner. And I'm looking at his prop tonight. For carries, it's 5.5. Juice the over at minus 145. It's a little juicy, but he's gone over this number in every single game this season. 7 carries, 6 carries with at least 30 yards rushing in every single game. I think he is too big of a weapon for the Cardinals not to use him. And especially when the Seahawks are so good against their run when it comes to traditional, running backs, that I feel like this is a way that the Cardinals exploit this defense. And plus, like, he's one of your best players on the field. I know Kyler Murray is not one of those quarterbacks that people love to get credit, but, like, you'll see a run. And we've seen it in these past few games. He had a 30-yard run against the Panthers and, had 32 yards. So keep in mind that some of these rushing props, you can go backwards as a quarterback. So for that reason, I'm going to go with the carries instead of the yards.
I'm going to go yards here. And we've seen this number move. It finally sort of reached a threshold and came back. His rushing yard prop opened at 26 and a hook, and then yesterday hit 29 and a hook. I was looking at it yesterday and was used to the under. Now it's back at 28 and a half. But ultimately, I think two things here. Number one is Kyler Murray is averaging a little more than 34, 35 yards on the ground every game this season. And also, I think it's going to go into the game plan tonight. You mentioned how good Seattle is at stopping the run against traditional running backs. I think now with James Conner out, especially in prime time, the Cardinals are going to build into their game plan ways to get Kyler Murray loose, because he's had a couple of highlight runs this season where, I mean, he's all over the field. He looks like he's a video game, and he looks like he's faster than he's been in a long time. And also, they're just going to need him.